نستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، أيها المسلمون، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته كما قال في كتابه الكريم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم: اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن. ثم أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we are 4 days or so away from Ramadan. We don't know if we will make it or not, but what we can do is to intend to do our maximum in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that even if we die before Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us for our intentions. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you according to your intentions. So if from now you put your intention that I would like to fast and I will do my best during Ramadan to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you are not able to make it unto Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this year the realization of the literal meaning of Ramadan will come into effect. Ramadan comes from an Arabic word, al-ramal, which means excessive heat, and all of you are experiencing excessive heat during these days. عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال: إنما سمي رمضان رمضانا لأن الشمس ترمض لأن الذنوب ترمض فيه. It was narrated by Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar. He said that Ramadan was called Ramadan because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will burn our sins during this auspicious month. In other words, if you fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you fast according to the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with good intentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will wipe all your sins and you will return without any sins. But not everyone. عن ابي هريره رضي الله عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من صام رمضان ايمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, whoever fasts Ramadan out of faith, he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he totally fasts for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to please any human being, not for his own ulterior motives, but his aim is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he expects rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forgive him his sins that he committed before. So if you want to be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't fast because you want to impress your boss, you want to impress your spouse, you want to get some benefits. You fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this leads us to the categories of Ramadan, to the levels of fasting. The first level in which the masses fall into is Sawmul Umum. The fast of the masses, majority of the people fall into this category, and it's the lowest level of fasting. So all of us should aspire to be in the highest level of fasting. So the basic level is صوم الإنسان أو صوم البطن عن الشهوة عن الطعام والشراب والشهوة. It means you avoid drinks, you avoid food, you avoid satisfying your carnal desires during the day, from dawn to sunset. for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the basic level, and majority of the people fall into it. So the aim is only to fast, to abstain from food, drinks, smoking, and conjugal rights from dawn to sunset. Yet they backbite, they gossip, they slander, they lie, they commit a lot of sins. So what's the point of them fasting? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Man lam yada'a qawla az-zur wal 'amala bihi, falaysa lillahi hajatun fi an yada'a ta'amahu wa sharaba." If you cannot avoid obscene language or acting immorally, there is no need for you to abstain from your food and drinks. In other words, we are taught from Ramadan that we should abstain from all evil, not only from food, drinks, and conjugal rights. So this brings us to the second level. كف البطن والفرج واللسان والنظر والرجل وجميع الجوارح عن الآثام. You have to make sure that you avoid committing sins. Don't use your organs, don't use your parts to disrespect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you are fasting, you should fast from evil as well. So when you do that, you will be among the real people who fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who get rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Whoever fears to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His tribunal on the day of judgment and avoids his lowly desires and motives and aspires for higher aims to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his abode will be paradise. So when you're fasting, you avoid all types of sins, not only food, drinks, conjugal rights, and smoking. You avoid lying, you avoid backbiting, you avoid gossip. Brothers and sisters in Islam, it's very imperative for a Muslim to control his tongue. Our tongue represents only 1% of our body parts, yet it gets us into trouble most of the time. Most of our choices of the food that we eat is influenced by our tongue. You taste the food, the taste buds tell you that the food is delicious. You don't care whether it's nutritious or not, because you are influenced by the taste buds. You decide to buy it. Maybe it will be detrimental to your health. So because of 1%, because of the tongue, you get yourself into trouble. You eat food who will cause you a lot of diseases in the future or even in the short term. Because of the tongue, which is 1% of your body parts. Because of the tongue, you will say words that will annoy people, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish you in hellfire for 70 years because of only one word that you said which displeased people. So when you are fasting, don't say bad words. Avoid eating and drinking during the day when you have to fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, مَا مِنْكُم مِّنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا سَيُكَلِّمُهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ لَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهُ تُرْجُمَانٌ فَيَنْظُرُ أَيْمَنَ مِنْهُ فَلَا يَرَى إِلَّا مَا قَدَّمَ وَيَنْظُرُ أَشْأَمَ مِنْهُ فَلَا يَرَى إِلَّا مَا قَدَّمَ وَيَنْظُرُ أَمَامَهُ فَلَا يَرَى إِلَّا النَّارَ تِلْقَاءَ وَجْهِهِ فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ وَلَوْ بِشِقِّ تَمْرَةٍ فَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِكَلِمَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, all of you will be questioned on the day of judgment. Every one of you will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His tribunal. You will be held accountable for whatever you did in this world. No one will be there to translate for you. No one will be there to interpret for you. No one will be there to intercede for you. It will be between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you will look to your left, seeking someone to help you. You will find none except your deeds, whether good or bad or both good and bad. You will look to your left, you will see none except your deeds, whether good or bad or both. You will look in front of you, you will see the hellfire. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, fear to be cast into the hellfire, even if it entails giving a part of a date in charity. Just one piece of date in charity. Charity in Arabic is sadaqah. It has a lot of meaning. First of all, sadaqah comes from the word sidq. which means truthfulness. If you are true in your faith and love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to love His creatures, you have to love human beings, and to show that you love them, you have to help them, you have to use your wealth in order to help human beings. So this will be the realization of your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Most of the time, we claim we love our friends, we love our brothers. When they need material support from us, we are not there for them. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be there for them. So sadaqah is a litmus test that tests your faith. Because most of the people, if not all of them, they love wealth. They love money, and it's difficult for them to give it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you go out of your way and you give it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are a real believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as such, you get abundant rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, be afraid of the hellfire. In another hadith, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, a believer will be under the shade of his charity on the day of judgment, when the sun will approach us, will be only 2 miles away from us. It's billions of miles and kilometers away from us, but during this time, you can't afford sitting in a house without an AC. What about on the day of judgment, when everything will crumble? Only your deeds will help you. Your charity will provide a shade for you. So you'll be under the shade of your charity on the day of judgment. You will wish that you had given more and more in order to get a better shade in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, so Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ, if at all you don't have anything to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَبِكَلِمَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ, you have to say good words. So if you're fasting, don't abuse people, don't gossip, don't slander, use good words, inspire people. If you don't have good words to say, you better keep quiet. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, if you don't have charity to give, even a piece of a date, just say good words. So when we are fasting, we are not only fasting from food, we are fasting from everything that is unlawful, from all vices, so that we earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The highest level is صوم القلب عن الهمم الدنيئة والأفكار المبعدة عن الله سبحانه وتعالى. You have to abstain from lowly desires and ambitions and from thoughts that will keep you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the highest level of fasting. In other words, your aim is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your aim is to do good things that will impact on your life, the life of other people, and will get you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will follow the example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he was told by Aisha, Messenger of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven you all your mistakes. Why you trouble yourself standing at night praying to Him? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَفَلَا أَكُونُ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا, why can't I be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He took his delight in pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His aim was not this dunya, his aim was to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be in the highest level of paradise. And a Muslim should aspire to do that. You use what you have in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you're fasting from every evil, you are fasting from every vice, and you are trying to, as much as you can, to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you will reap the benefits of fasting as much as you can. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam understood the real meaning of fasting. His companions understood the real meaning of fasting, and they put it into practice. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu received an emissary from Azerbaijan, a delegation that came to visit him to inquire about Islam and to get first-hand experience about the life of Muslims. They used to read about him, they used to hear about him, they wanted to see him. The leader of this delegation that came from Azerbaijan to visit Umar ibn al-Khattab, when it was time for lunch, Umar gave him options. He said, would you like to have lunch with me, or you would like to have lunch with the poor people? So this king who came from Azerbaijan, in his mentality, kids always eat sumptuous food and they always have a lot of amenities of life. So he chose to eat with Umar, assuming that the food that Umar was eating was going to be different. He was shocked to find that Umar was eating bread and salt, yet the poorest of the poor were eating the most delicious and sumptuous food. Even he regretted why he didn't eat with the poor people. This was to show us that Umar ibn al-Khattab was caring about his people. He put his interest behind the interests of the people. So he was working for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever wealth he heard, he would use it to show love to these helpless creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not look to satisfy his own ego. This is a lesson to us, and this is what we learn from Ramadan. It's among the great lessons that we learn from the school of Ramadan. Yusuf alayhi salam used to fast, and he would say, "Akhafu an ashba'a wa ansa al-'aryan." I am afraid to fill my stomach with food and forget the poor people who go naked. In other words, while he was fasting, after feeling the pangs of hunger and thirst, he would empathize with the poor people who didn't get their regular meals, and he was in position to help them because he knew what they were going through. So this is the real fast that will bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the highest level of it. We avoid lowly aspirations. We aspire for al-firdaus al-a'la. We aspire to have a lot of wealth in order to help people, in order to promote Islam, to work for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not because we want to subordinate people, because we want to look down upon people. This is not a Muslim. We have to work towards pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters in Islam, fasting during the month of Ramadan is unique and is given preference over other kinds of worship because of two major reasons. The first one, إِنَّهُ سِرٌّ وَعَمَلٌ بَاطٍ لَا يَرَاهُ الْخَلْقُ وَلَا يَشُوبُهُ رِيَاءٌ. Fasting is a secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can tell for sure whether you are fasting or not except Allah and you. You can pretend in front of people that you are fasting, but after some time you hide yourself somewhere, you eat and drink and clean up your mouth and come and pretend you are fasting. No one will know that you're fasting. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can tell and you that you are fasting. So this is an act of worship that you are doing entirely for the sake of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no room for duplicity, there is no room for dissemblance, there is no room for hypocrisy in this act of worship. So if this is the case, then you have to purify it. You have to purify your intentions. Don't fast because you want to impress someone. Don't fast because you want to get to be treated differently at workplace, to be given few hours of working. Don't fast because you want to be given a position. You fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in al-Hadith al-Qudsi, أَنَا أَغْنَى الْأَغْنِيَاءِ عَنِ الشِّرْكِ مَنْ عَمِلَ عَمَلًا أَشْرَكَ مَعِي فِيهِ أَحَدًا تَرَكْتُهُ وَشِرْكَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'm the richest of the rich. If you do an act of worship in order to please me, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and another one beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will abandon you. He will let you depend on that person that you wanted to please. So what will that person, a mortal human being, what will he benefit you with? He is going to die. If he is in position, time will come when his power will end, but you will remain with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the meanings of Allah, the name Allah, one of its meanings comes from Aliha ilayhi. He is the one that we have to resort to when we have problems. Most of the time, before you have problems, when you are enjoying good health and wealth, you get people who tell you, who assure you that when you are in problem, please contact us, we will help you. When you happen to be a problem, you call them. Either they come up with flimsy excuses, they cannot help you, or they are not there, they have traveled, or they have problems themselves, or they have died. So who will be there to help you? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters in Islam, part of our dawah activities few years ago was to visit patients in hospitals. We happened to visit an American patient who was suffering from cancer. So when he saw us, after we introduced ourselves, he was so impressed. He was a non-Muslim, and we wanted to impress him as part of doing da'wah. He was so happy. He told us that he had a lot of friends. He he had been in hospital for 3 weeks and none among his friends visited him. His name was David and he asked us to call him Dawood. Perhaps in his heart he had embraced Islam, we didn't know. He requested us the following day to bring him the Quran because he was alone, his friends had abandoned him, no one was there to please him, so we wanted to show him that we care about him as part of doing da'wah. Unfortunately, he died before we could do any da'wah to him, but hopefully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had opened his heart to Islam. So this is to show you that you have friends, but when you are in need, few of them will help you. But if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you resort to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will send even your enemies to help you in disguise, which we don't know. So we have to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. We have to aim at the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is one of the lessons that we learn from Ramadan, that we should be sincere in whatever we do, and we should do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no problem if we seek our vested interests after the aim to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second reason why Ramadan is superior is that we are conquering the devil. The devil is chained. Also we are conquering him because one of its tactics, it comes through your carnal desires and appetites. So it entices you to eat good food, sometimes which is forbidden, to eat drinks which are forbidden, to satisfy your carnal desires illicitly. So these are one of the tactics of the devil. But when you are fasting, you abstain from food and drinks, there is no way he can entice you to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "Inna ash-shaytana yajri min ibn Adam majra ad-dam." The devil is active in your bloodstream. Many people took it literally that it's devil is inside the bloodstream, and some others say it's a figurative, that the devil does not leave any avenue to tempt you, to dissuade you from disobeying Allah, to dissuade you from obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are fasting, and this is why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advised those who are not able to marry, he told them you have to fast, because fasting will protect you from falling into evil. So brothers and sisters in Islam, most of the time we concentrate on our bodies. Some people are undergoing cosmetic surgery, they want to look good, wear good clothes, eat good food, but we forget we are body and soul. How many efforts do we render for spiritual enlightenment? So Ramadan is the time when we focus on our spirituality, which is very important as well. Body without soul can't exist, soul without body can't exist. In as much as we concentrate on the body, we have to concentrate on the soul as well, so that we live a healthy life and we get abundant rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-azim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikri al-hakim. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah al-azim li wa lakum fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Brothers and sisters in Islam, once Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he was ascending his pulpit, on the first step he stopped and said Ameen. On the second he said Ameen, and on the third he said Ameen. His companions were surprised. They said, "O Messenger of Allah, we don't see anyone with you. Why did you say Ameen 3 times? Why did you say it 3 times?" He said, "Jibril alayhi salam, Archangel Jibril ascended the pulpit before me." So on the first step he said, "Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah," and I answered, "Labbaik wa sa'daik, here I am at your service." He says, Jibril telling Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "Man adraka walidayhi aw ahadahuma falam yughfar lahu fa'ab'adahu Allah azza wa jalla." Whoever is able to live with his parents or one of them and cannot earn the pleasure and forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will be far away from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. In other words, when you have your parents alive, this is an opportunity for you to get a lot of rewards in being dutiful to them, help them, listen to them, make them happy, make sure that they are not angry with you. So long as what you do does not contradict with the teachings of Islam, go ahead to please them, because they are your gateway to paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not associate partners with Him, and be dutiful to your parents. After worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are duty bound to help your parents, to make them happy. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, if you have the opportunity of living to be with your parents, because many people don't have this chance to live and see their parents. Many people, their parents have already died. They admire, or they even pray, they even aspire that their parents would be alive so that they would help them, but they can't achieve that. So if you have this chance, use it to reap rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you ignore it, you will be cast away from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second person is a person الذي أدرك رمضان فصام نهاره وقام ليله فلم يغفر له. You were able to live up to Ramadan. You fasted during the day and you stood up at night to read the Quran, to pray, whether it's Qiyam or Taraweeh, yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not forgive you. What does it mean? You fasted because you wanted to impress people. You fasted while backbiting, while committing sins, cheating, lying, deceiving. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu says, إِذَا صُمْتَ فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصَرُكَ وَلِسَانُكَ عَنِ الْكَذِبِ وَالْمَحَارِمِ. When you are fasting, make sure that your sense of hearing, your sense of seeing, your tongue will abstain from all vices and telling lies. Don't tell lies, don't listen to gossip when you are fasting. وَلَا تَجْعَلْ يَوْمَ صَوْمِكَ وَفِطْرِكَ سَوَاءً. Don't let the day when you're fasting and the day when you're not fasting be the same. In other words, you commit the same evils, the same vices when you're fasting and when you're not fasting. So there is no difference between the time when you're fasting and when you're not fasting. Don't do that. Brothers and sisters, we have to put into consideration that all the teachings of Islam revolve around three aspects. First of all, your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your relationship with yourself, and your relationship with the creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, human beings, animal, vegetation, you name it. In as much as you strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to strengthen your relationship with yourself and your relationship with human beings, and dealing well with animals and with the environment. So if you neglect one of these, you are in trouble, because the teachings of Islam are about to reform you as a person and to address your relationship with other creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you have this opportunity of getting to live until Ramadan comes, you fast, but your fast becomes in vain because you did not follow the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You did not have pure intentions. You committed sins during Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep you away from mercy, or from His mercy on the day of judgment. And the third one, according to the hadith, when the name of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is mentioned, you don't pray to Allah to have mercy and blessing. Whenever the name of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is mentioned, you have to say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If you don't do that and you're not forgiven, you will be away, you'll be far away from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brothers and sisters in Islam, you have to prepare yourself from now for the month of Ramadan. If you have any grudges with anyone, make sure you clean and cleanse your heart from all these vices. Make sure when Ramadan comes, you don't hate anyone. You don't have rancor against anyone. You don't gossip. You don't slander. Your heart is clean. In as much as you crave for Allah's forgiveness, you have to be able to forgive. And you have to make sure that you reconcile with the people who wronged you or the people whom you wronged, so that when Ramadan comes, you are on a pure slate and a clean slate, starting a fresh relationship with Allah, with human beings, and with yourself, hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you, and hoping that you will carry on with the teachings that you learned from Ramadan to be a better person and to earn the best future, which is to be in paradise with the prophets and messengers and the martyrs, inshallah. So brothers and sisters in Islam, you have to put a plan. We are not sure whether we will be able to live up to Ramadan. We have to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, purify our intentions, so that even if we die before Ramadan, we will get the rewards of what we intended for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so generous. You something, you didn't do it, but because you were not able to execute it for one reason or the other, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you as though you did it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is generous and is very kind to us, and we have to make use of this. We have to put proper plans that we will execute during Ramadan. وصلوا وسلموا على من أمرتم بالصلاة والسلام عليه بقوله تعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.